Boom, shaka, laka, boom. You've tuned in to the Free Range Human Show of Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. We are live here on 103.9 FM WYB. In the co-captain chair, we got Mr. SHAUN YURTKURAN, Esquire, attorney at law. Good morning, SHAUN.
Good morning. Morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Having a great day.
What does the W on your hat stand for? Bush?
Oh, it's the Washington Nationals. You know, I collect different Major League Baseball team hats. I got like it's my hat collection looks like the like something in MTV Cribs. You know, that with my shoes as well. Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous for being 45, and you know, so.
Man, look, I went through the same phase when I had my diverticulitis surgery, and I had to have I was pretty banged up for a couple months. We'll just say that. Anyway, I had 2 surgeries, and when I came home, there was a lot of morphine, a lot of pain pills involved, a lot of hydrocodone, and I ended up with a lot of matching hats, custom shop Adidas shoes.
Oh, those are nice.
And polo shirts to match the custom stripes in my Adidas shoes and my hats. And
okay, I haven't done that yet. I do custom Nikes though. I get into that thing.
And would you believe that by the time that they all got there and the drugs wore off, I never put on any of that stuff. The first time I wore one of those pairs of shoes was to the St. Patty's Day parade this year.
Really?
With the white with the green stripes I had done in their custom shop. I was like, well, it seems like a good time to wear these green striped Adidas.
Break it out.
And they were a hit at the parade, and I probably won't wear them again to the next one I go to.
You know, I sometimes I'm like, God, I can't believe I'm 45 and still have a Jordan addiction. But then I'll meet other guys that do too. You know, like the sheriff. I'm gonna call Tyree Jones out because he posted them all the time. And a couple lawyer friends are like, yeah, dude, I got a bunch of Jordans too. I don't know what it is about Jordans that you just can find to be addictive.
Well, a lot of it's nostalgia too.
Yeah,
you know, because when Jordans were, well, obviously they're still insanely popular, but when they were coming out, they weren't retro. They were just the new Jordans.
Sure.
They you know, a lot of us couldn't afford them. Our parents wouldn't buy them for us.
I could never, right, back in those days, no way.
Yeah, so we didn't get to really rock a whole lot of Jordans. So
until I was at least in my 30s, I couldn't afford them. So.
And then they do a lot of these nostalgia documentaries like that Jordan, the Last Dance, and all this kind of stuff comes out, and we have access to nostalgia at our fingertips with YouTube, and boom, you realize that, hey, other people like this too. Now, I'm not as plugged in as some people. I like it, but it ain't my addiction. It was for a little bit. I did buy a bunch of Jordans too during COVID, and then again, got them all and realized that this just doesn't rock with anything I wear.
I don't wear them as much these days either. I know what you mean. Like, it's just,
It's not really like...
I just like them.
Hip-hop culture ain't my culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've kind of grown past flat bill hats and Jordans. Mainly to wear Jordan 1s, you got to wear skinny jeans to do it, and I ain't wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah, you can't wear bootcut jeans with those. It just doesn't work. Speaking of nostalgia, you know, I think maybe our age group is obviously... I mean, a lot of age groups are into that, but it just made me think of Fred Shanks came by my office yesterday in Fondren, and I have a Millennium Falcon.
Now that's the beacon of hip hop culture right there.
Right, yeah, no, he is not. He is definitely not.
Whatever white boy summer is, that's Fred.
That's Fred. Fred has got the white boy look down to a T. And there's so during COVID, you know, we were all doing things to entertain ourselves, and so I started collecting like old Star Wars toys. I know it sounds so geeky, but I was just, you know, you're bored, and so I put together like a original Millennium Falcon, and I've got it in my office, and Fred saw it. And you know, you never know people's reaction to it. He saw it immediately. He pulls out his camera. He's like, "Oh man, I'm sending my brother this. This is awesome."
Oh yeah,
because that's like, you're like in your 40s and you're like get excited about a Millennium Falcon.
I want a Millennium Falcon, and I want the aircraft carrier from GI Joe.
That's the other one, the USS Flags, I think is what it's called.
And I think you got to kind of have that stuff hanging from the ceiling too to really appreciate it.
Did you ever have a friend that had that when you were in that age?
Hell, I probably had it. You know, myself, and
my parents would never buy it for me, you know, because it was so. If you go on, so I went on eBay and looked at this before a couple years ago. I think it's like $2,000 to get one right now if you wanted to get the actual USS Flags aircraft carrier, and it's huge. I forget how big it is, but it's gigantic. And it was like my rich friends that I would always have that. You know, I had all the other stuff. I mean, because GI Joe. I think we were talking about this the other day. It says like 8 out of every 10 American boys under the age of like 12 in the 1980s owned a G.I. Joe toy. So like all of us had one, but it was always the richer friends that had the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, I wonder what MSRP on that thing was in 1992.
I looked this up one time. I think it was
1989, whatever it would have been.
I think it was like $250 or something.
300 was in my head, somewhere in
that. But now it's like if you go on eBay, it's like $2,000 or something like. I mean, it was last time I looked. I don't know.
Is there there's no Chinese company knocking these things off and selling them new?
You could probably go to Alibaba, but I mean, you're not going to get the box and all that stuff, and the here it is. Well, I mean, there's just the box on eBay is $595 if you just want the box. But,
I want more than the box.
Well, if you want to get so this guy here is selling one in the box, complete for $5,300. $5,300.
Good on him, man. Then you got to worry about shipping. I've seen what these UPS guys and FedEx guys do. They just throw the box at the door, and next thing you know, you got a two-piece USS flags.
Imagine if you were like married and you bring home like this $5,000 USS flags. You're like, oh yeah, sorry, honey, this is what I got. This huge aircraft carrier.
I was just sitting at work one day and got on eBay and just decided I had to have it. That Netflix show, The Toys That Made Us,
awesome.
has caused a spike in all this stuff.
Oh, I bet, because it brings, like you were just talking about, the nostalgia thing, and you remember when you were young, and that's kind of why. Actually, I was watching that during COVID, and they had that Star Wars portion too. And that's when I got all into. I was like, I'm gonna start buying some stuff because I'm just young enough, and you're young enough where we kind of missed that era.
Yeah,
and we were kind of with the G.I. Joe era because we're born in the late '70s, so you had to be a little bit older than us.
I loved He-Man toys too.
Oh, me, dude, I had a ton of those. I
want Castle Grayskull.
I mean, it's
still this day.
Yeah, I had also. Did you have Voltron? I had that too. Remember that one?
I also had the knockoff Transformers GoBots.
Oh, I had those too. I ain't gonna lie, because they had the competing cartoon that wasn't as good as the Transformers cartoon, and you watch because the GoBot. I remember that it was the jet plane. That was the big one. Remember, it was the jet plane guy or whatever. And he was, but it was not as cool as I had. Mine was now they would never let you have this. Well, didn't the one of the guys turn into a gun? Didn't it? I remember having that. Do you remember that one?
Don't recall.
You don't recall? I think somebody probably out there remembers the Transformer that turned into a gun. And I also had the Decepticon that turned into a cassette player. You could play cassettes on it.
We got a text on the Guns and Gear text line that said that the USS Flags was 7 feet long and would not even fit under a bed.
7 feet. Wow. That
is 9 inches taller than I am.
My God, that is huge. I mean, where would you? I don't know where I put that in my
toy.
home.
That's a toy right there, son. I mean, that's a centerpiece. You know what you do with that? You build a custom coffee table and you put it inside it with glass on top.
That's kind of cool, actually. That's kind of a cool idea. If I had
it's almost like a trophy case,
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. All right, look, I can sit here and talk about old toys all day.
Forever.
And there's mornings that I just want to talk about old toys for sure. Let's we got a lot we're going to get into. Shad White's book is out, Mississippi Swindle. Sean's already read the overwhelming majority of it. It's a civil war in Mississippi Republican politics this morning.
Yeah.
We're going to wait to the other side of the break for that. Y'all know that when Jackson police and Jackson gas stations intersect for the news stories, that Clay Edwards is going to be on top of that.
You're like white on rice when it comes to the gas station shooting.
Look, I mean, they're still not giving me credit, like it's first reported by. But all joking aside, the Guns and Gear text line this morning, 769-241-1944. Mazda of Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Let's intertwine today's show with a little fun. The question of the day, we don't do them all the time. The question of the day is, what was your favorite retro toy?
That's awesome, yeah.
What's your favorite retro toy? And, of course, if you have anything you want to get off your chest, you want to vent about anything political, you're welcome to do that as well, or cultural for that matter. And just give us a call. Shoot me a text. Either one would be fine. Always love hearing from you guys on the phone line. More of y'all, less of us is never a bad thing, unless you're Snowball, and then you're terrible. All right, let's go to WLBT here. And let's see what's going on. The headline reads, Jackson residents weigh in on JPD's new operation to cut down on crime happening at gas stations. Oops, somebody's...
Did somebody shoot at the video?
No, somebody's cut the volume off or something over here. Where's the volume on this thing? On this computer. Man, I tell you what, it's always something. What time is it?
It is 7:17.
Well, let's take a break. Get this figured out. For some reason, the volume button is missing on the computer. Oh, why that would happen, I have. Oh, never mind.
Kim Wade took the button off the computer.
Never mind. I figured it out. It would help if I hit the right button on the on the board here. This should have us fixed.
Getting your thoughts on Jackson's new initiative to help reduce crime at gas stations. Police are beefing up patrols outside gas stations. This comes after several shootings at the stores. Now, 3 News Side's Quentin Smith joins us live in West Jackson. Quentin, how are people reacting to all this?
Yeah, Howard, I'm here outside the Texaco gas station on Medgar Evers.
I mean, seriously, there seems to be an internet problem out here in Florida sometimes, and it just doesn't want to quite work right. Let's take a break, come back, we'll reset, or we'll just change subjects altogether. Megatron was the name of the gun, too, according to a texture.
Okay.
So, Megatron, I like that. All right, this is the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun YURTKURAN. We'll be right back.
Shootings at the stores. Now, 3 News Side's Quentin Smith joins us live in West Jackson. Quentin, how are people reacting to all this?
Yeah, Howard, I'm here outside the Texaco gas station on Medgar Evers.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Johnny's Pizza Shack. Man, get you a slice of New Orleans life right there at Johnny's today for lunch. Any single topping 8-inch pizza, only $6.99. That includes a medium drink. You can get that in a pizza bowl as well as a regular crust pizza. How about a specialty pizza? You want a little bit more than a single topping? They got you covered for only $9.49. Any 8-inch specialty pizza or pizza bowl, only $9.49. And, of course, how about the Sweep the Kitchen? That's their Super Supreme. It's got everything on it. You can get it in an 8-inch with a medium drink or pizza bowl for only $9.49. If pizza ain't your thing and you're rocking a little smaller budget than that, you want to go back to the days that $5 was gas money and $5 could get you lunch, it still can at Johnny's Pizza Shack. Well, almost $5. $5.99 will get you a muffaletta sandwich, drink, and a bag of chips. They got a couple other options there for under $7 for lunch. And, of course, you can always get your large, your mediums, your smalls, and everything else you want to go. If you need a party, a pizza party, they got you covered at Johnny's Pizza, located in Gluckstadt and Ridgeland, Mississippi. Shaun, I'm going to go to Grip and Grin.
Oh, yeah.
This morning, the Tim Vertel, I believe that's how you say his name, the Secret Service agent I interviewed the other day, is going to be speaking today.
I just always laugh when you guys say Grip and Grin. I don't know. I'm childish. Sorry.
What's funny about it?
Yeah, anyway, I'm just childish. Sorry.
I don't get it.
You don't get it? Okay. It wasn't funny.
Is it something sexual?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't.
All right. No more of that in the 7 a.m. hour.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So we're going to go to that. So, but I say all that to say this: I've got the Vote Felon and the FAFO shirt inventory with me. If anybody wants a shirt and wanted to order one, if you're going to be at Grip and Grin, $20, bring cash. I will have them with me. They're in the trunk of my car today. Or if you're in the Ridgeland area and Madison area, you want one delivered, holler at me. I may be able to do that too, as long as it ain't having to go to Canton or nothing like that. So let's see here. We're skipping the Jackson gas station stuff. WLBT's internet isn't working right. Every other website works, so I'm going to blame it on WLBT. Their video ain't queuing up. So let's just jump in. I hadn't had a chance to look at this. Shad White's book come out, and he has decided to go full scorched earth civil war with the Republican establishment in Mississippi. Going to be interesting to see how it plays out because WYAB's been at full-blown war with the Republican establishment in Mississippi for the 4 years I've been here. Worked out pretty well for us. So, Shaun, bring people up to speed on what's going on here.
Yeah, so Shad White wrote a book called Mississippi Swindle that was released yesterday, and it's about the welfare scandal with TANF and Brett Favre and all that stuff. The cover, it says, Brett Favre and the welfare scandal that shocked America. And in it, it's basically, Clay, like one of those old-school rap diss tracks, because it really takes to task Mike Hurst, Lynn Fitch, several other people. It praises Jody Owens quite a bit in the book, actually, and it's pretty hard on Mike Hurst specifically. I'd say it's pretty rough on him, like the things it says. And I could read you a certain portion here. It says, when Mike was done with the little routine that I'd figured he'd practice in the mirror that morning, he closed by saying he'd called this meeting because he wanted to handle this face to face, in quotes, like men. I laughed because a few days prior, his manliness haven't given him the courage to answer my phone call when he'd sent me his draft press statement. And it's stuff like that, just taking digs at Mike.
What's the backstory? Why is he upset with Mike?
Well, what he's upset about, and everybody doesn't know this, when this,
and Mike was U.S. attorney.
He was U.S. attorney, right?
We all know who Mike is. kind of in political circles and this, that, and the other. I think Mike's I like Mike a lot.
Yeah, I've heard he's a wonderful guy.
Celeste a lot. They've always been super nice to me. I don't know if Mike has like dinner table recognizability name.
Okay, I guess you're right.
Outside of our circles,
sure.
Because U.S. Attorney knows head of the Republican Party. I just don't know how much that translates outside these immediate circles. But with all that said, Mike was the U.S. Attorney here in this district.
And he ran for Attorney General against Jim Hood in 2015.
That's right. That was before I was really plugged in and really keeping up with everything. So Shad Shad had this story or had this case, right, about the TANF money.
Correct. Yep.
And he decided to, the way I understand it, to go around Mike Hurst because it should have been a federal deal.
Yeah, the thing
and he took it to the George Soros-funded Hinds County DA.
Well, yes. So what happened?
And that's political red meat for a Democrat.
Yeah, but I think it was more political for Shad in my way. I mean, I'll explain what I mean. So this is federal money, and it seems to me that the proper avenue would have been for him to take it to the U.S. Attorney's Office or the FBI because that deals with. Also, I remember when he actually Jody Owens had just got elected in the fall of 2019. And then this indictment came out in February of 2020, right before all the lockdowns. And they were at this press conference at the courthouse, and I was watching it or reading about it. I can't remember. And I was thinking, why is this? Because I worked at the Hinds County DA's office for 10 years, and I know what that office's capabilities are and what it's not. And it generally prosecutes street crimes. That's what it's good at. It's good at doing that.
As most DAs.
Most LDAs. All
County
DAs.
DAs.
Yeah, they do that. They don't. County DAs generally don't handle these complex financial crimes, these big,
Same reason why Fannie Willis shouldn't be handling the Donald Trump
And
thing.
I said that from the beginning, too, that is more of a, in the purview of federal prosecutors. The Hinds County DA's office, Clay, what we've got is, when I was there, we only had 12 assistants. I think they got like 20 now. And, you have a few investigators, and most of the investigators' job is really to serve subpoenas and find witnesses. It's not to investigate this kind of thing. Now, I know the auditor's office did an extensive investigation. He mentions actually in the book Richie McCluskey, who I used to work with at the Attorney General's office, is probably the best investigator I've ever met.
I've heard you mention his name several times.
Yeah, I'm sure he did a great job. So I got no doubt about that. But the Hinds County DA's office capacity, it's not really their fault because they're just not really set up for that. Anyway, so I found it kind of odd that he would take it to them. And in the way he explains it in the book is that, he felt that it would move faster with the Hinds County DA instead of the FBI and Mike Hurst, the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm kind of with Mike Hurst on this. I think it should have probably gone to him. I think the reason it probably didn't is because, Mike Hurst is a potential gubernatorial rival for him, and maybe he thought that. I mean, I don't know if Mike wants to run for governor or whatever it is.
Do you think he thought that in when?
Beginning of 2020.
Beginning of 2020. Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, he's U.S. attorney appointed by Trump. He's, he'd already run for office. I mean, obviously he's GOP chairman now. Looks like a guy with a bright future. I think that it was, it's a potential rival, so don't want to give him a good press. That's the way I kind of took it when it went down, because just knowing that office the way I do, talking about the Hinds DA's office, and so that's where. So I guess Mike got mad about that, and that's what he discusses in the book. Shad does, and had said that he said that Shad says that Mike was saying that he was trying to cover up for Phil Bryant, that Mike was spreading those rumors. That's what he writes in the book, that Shad writes. I think that probably what Mike probably said was, and I don't know this, but I'm assuming he said, well, why didn't he bring it here first? This makes the most sense. This is federal money. And so it goes on and on there, and that's where, and they apparently had a ton of disputes about this, whereas that one passage I read where Shad's basically calling him so hauling him out there, and it goes on, and he's mentioned 121 times in the book, Mike Hurst is. And it's not just Mike. He got the worst of it. Lynn Finch got it too, pretty good, which Shad basically refers to her essentially, and paraphrase this, a lazy sack of crap. He didn't say it like that, but it's the way it comes across.
Yeah.
And then I got texts from other people that were officials last night that, were upset with certain things in the book, regarding the parole board and whatnot. And so there was a lot of things.
The parole board's terrible.
I don't know a whole lot. All I heard is they don't let people out right now. I don't know that for true, but I hear that a lot.
They let double murderers out that killed their.
That guy.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't let this out, but you let the double murderer out. Mm-hmm. They killed his dad and stepmom.
Oh, the one that put the Tupperware container guy, right?
Yeah, well, 55-gallon drums.
Drums, okay.
Yeah. 55-gallon drums or trash cans. Premeditated double murder. He gets out after 20 years and gets a DUI and goes right back, but he only has to go serve a year. Then they're going to let him right back out. But then you don't let, I don't know, pick a random murderer a single murderer, whatever the case may be. I don't know. But the parole board is, they got some issues.
I see what you mean. Okay. All I've heard is that there's an issue that it was that when Steve Pickett used to be chairman of the parole board, and I know Steve pretty well, and they were having a rate of reducing the prison, which was the goal, to reduce, because we're just, the prison population is way overpopulated.
Well, it's the highest in the country per capita.
Yeah, something like that, right? And I think now there's having some resistance to that, where that policy's kind of changed, and there's been in the legal community, there's a big debate about how that's going on. So that's as far as I know. But yeah, so this book, Clay, basically he declared war on the state GOP in my opinion, and I don't know the way you can take that, than anything he wrote in there. So, maybe, and because that was purposefully,
So our assumption is he's trying to cut the legs out of other potential gubernatorial candidates.
Yeah. I think, because also.
And Lynn, and Mike potentially, which I haven't heard about Mike, a run for governor.
Yeah.
Maybe not. That's not the names that I've heard. And the names I've heard: Andy, Lynn, Shad, and one of the Duffy brothers, Tommy Duff.
Yeah, and Delbert, obviously.
And Delbert.
Right. I've heard all that too. I think you're really like 4.5 years ago. Where Mike is U.S. attorney at that time, and maybe there would have been a second Trump term. He would have continued that. His rise would, anything could have happened at that point.
Sure.
We had played that. So, I think that he probably looked at him as a rival, and why give him the credit for this huge case? That's the way I took it, was what happened. Now, he says differently. He says it because of the speed of the Hinds County DA's office, which, I love the Hinds County DA. The place is like home to me, but I just don't know. Working there when our administration was there, and you took a case like that to us, we would have referred it to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And I've talked to other people that worked there with me at the time that all agree with that assessment. So, Jody Owens, I think at the time was a new DA, and that, tends to happen, I think, sometimes. And and then now, of course, the book does go on to praise Jody quite a bit. I'm talking about, so which of course now we know with certain things that may or may not happen.
Bad look praising Jody Owens.
It might look a little rough considering.
I would love to know if Shad's praising and what Shad, if you or any of your people are listening this morning, I would love to know how you feel about supporting Jody Owens with all of the rumors and innuendo, and hell, not even that. How about just the fact that he likes to lock up good cops? Do you support good cops being locked up, Anthony Fox?
And again, I'm perfectly clear. The Hinds County DA's office, I worked for a long time. I think they're great people up there. I just, when I was working there, I would have got this case and be like, I don't want to work this thing. I prosecute murders and armed robbers. I don't do this. This is somebody, because the federal prosecutors have less cases too. Think about all the kind of cases you've got in Hinds County, and they get to kind of pick and choose and all that stuff. So it seemed like it'd be way better placed there, especially considering the subject matter was federal money that you're dealing with. But, he went that route, and that's what made Mike Hurst mad. Justifiably, I think. And I thought that at the time when it happened. I was like, I remember during that press conference, I was like, ooh, man, I bet Mike Hurst is just mad, because this doesn't seem like the right avenue for it. And so this is, Shad's explanation for that. And by the way, it is going to, what the word I got from several people, that is going to be made into a Netflix movie. So
another Netflix movie without an ending.
There's no ending to it,
That's been a trend lately. Their disaster movies don't have endings. They just end.
Yeah. And that's right. And Shad's going to be played by Ice Cube, because this is like a diss track. That's what I kept thinking. I kept singing that song in my head,
So are we being serious about the Netflix stuff? Or is
No. I've heard that from several sources. That is absolutely correct. From what, if they're telling me the truth, that's, but I've heard that from several different people that's occurred.
All right, so let's unpack this on the other side of the break, because I got a lot of thoughts on this whole thing, and I've got the book. Sean just gave it to me. I have not cracked a page, but I can discuss this content matter of it, and kind of what I'm curious what the general public thinks about it. Like John Q. listener out there, do you support Shad going after the Republican hierarchy in the state, but while also teaming up with the Democrats to do it? Lots of questions. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun YURTKURAN. Don't forget, get out to Burgers, Blues, Barbecue today, Madison, Flowood, or Brandon, Mississippi. Grab one of their great plate lunches or their world-famous burgers, chicken wraps, and one of my personal favorite, the smoked Nashville hot wings. If you guys are out there, trying to lose a little weight but tired of eating grilled chicken constantly, try some smoked Nashville hot wings. They keep you in ketosis, low fat, no carbs, And yum, yum, yum. Actually, not low fat. Low fat's actually a bad thing. You want fat. You want to eat fat. You just don't want to eat carbs. Anyway, I digress. All that's available at Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. Check them out today at their all-new Dogwood location right there in Flowood. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Watkins Construction and Roofing. Guys, let them come out today and do a complimentary roof inspection for you. Check them out online, watkinsconstructioninc.com. They're going to come out. They're going to be professional. They're going to work with your insurance company every step of the way. You're going to have a consultant to work with you every step of the way. You're never going to have any questions go unanswered, text unreplied to, phone calls unreturned. They're always going to be in constant communication there at Watkins Construction and Roofing. That's one of the number one things you see when you go read their near 600 five-star reviews online, was they were in constant communication. I never had to wonder anything. They usually told me before I had a question about it. And that's the kind of folks I like doing business with, locally owned, locally operated. They're going to come out, do your complimentary inspection. Maybe you just need a little section of your roof replaced. Maybe you need an entire roof. They're going to do whatever's best for you. They're going to work with your insurance company to get it done. They're going to show up. They're going to be professional. They ain't going to be playing all bumpity bump, 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 cuss word music and all that stuff. Taking a chance of you having to hear that, your kids having to hear it, your neighbors having to hear it. None of that. They're going to clean up after themselves. They're going to take care of your landscaping. And all you're going to know is you got your roof fixed. And everything was handled by Watkins Construction and Roofing. All right, Sean, let's jump in. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. We got a lot of stuff on there. We'll get to it here in a minute. The Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. If y'all call in, let's try to stay on topic right now about the Shad White, Mike Hurst, the book, Brett Favre, all that stuff. All right, Shad, I got some opinions. Oh, I'm sorry. I called you Shad.
You can't call me Shad.
First off, Sean, not Shad.
Yeah.
Sean, I got several opinions on this. I'm going to play a little devil's advocate today. First, I'm over hearing about Brett Favre.
Okay.
And I think a lot of Mississippians are too. I think that the people who are aroused by this whole Brett Favre tent thing are all white liberals who aren't voting for Shad or anybody else on the red side of the ticket either way. I think the Brandon Presley campaign proved that. That was something you and I discussed rather intensely.
Yeah.
We actually agreed on was this doesn't translate to the dinner table.
We even told the Presley campaign, if you remember on Twitter, explained to them this was not a good idea. You can maybe win some conservative voters, but not with this issue. I think we said that.
Yeah, that was exactly what I told him. I said this is a dead issue in our. I know it's hot in the circles you're in, campaigning, but those are Democrats who are already going to vote for you.
Yeah.
If you want to attack Tate, there was other ways to do it, and I thought they left those on the table.
Especially when he wasn't really even involved. You know what I mean? He wasn't governor at the time.
No,
he was lieutenant governor. It was stupid, and it didn't work, obviously.
So, yeah, and it didn't work. So, I think Brett Favre. I mean, look, he's got his faults, no doubt, but I think Brett's the native son. I think people want to like Brett Favre. I think what you call it, yuck,
man, yuck.
Mississippi rednecks just yuck back and forth with each other, tell each other a bunch of one-liners and
yucking works.
Little redneck stories and stuff like that. Yeah. It works, and I'm guessing a Brett Favre does it very well.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. And the thing is, Brett, man, he paid the money back for one thing, right? Yeah. I don't know what there was that one statement that I think he made about something that, is this the news going to pick this up or something to that matter? So I guess he knew some of the source of the money to a certain extent, or it seemed like he may have, but in the end of the day, they made a big deal about that volleyball court, which the Attorney General's office approved. So, that's kind of one of the issues I always had. I'm like, they approved it. If they had said, no, you can't do it, and then they did it, I think that would have been a problem. But so,
there's the one thing. Because I'm just looking at how is this advantageous for Shad?
Yeah.
And okay, I understand the going after your political rivals, potential rivals, trying to cut their legs out from under them.
Right.
I get that, but at what cost? I think it hurts you more with the general public when you do it and you're going after the native son and Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And then I think it hurts you when you're posseing up with the George Soros funded DA who just locked up the top cop in Jackson and the AGs always had to step in and say, no, you're wrong.
And there's also potentially facing a federal indictment what all the seems like that's imminent.
Allegedly,
with the word around town is that that's approaching rather quickly. So
the association with the Hinds County DA, I don't think it's a good one. I think it hurts you in the long run. Now, flip side to that, I like a lot of the stuff Shad does. Like when Shad is doing Shad's job,
yeah, he's good at it.
He's really good at it. Look, I love the attack on DEI, CRT, making sure that our public universities aren't wasting money on that stuff. Yeah. Like, I think he does his, if we want to call that part of the auditor's job, which I think it is. I know some people will debate me on that, but it's our money being wasted, our tax money being wasted. And yes, diversity, equity, inclusion is a waste of money. If you can't earn it, you don't deserve it. Anyway, I digress. So when it comes to just like ink on paper with Shad White's job, do I think Shad White could be governor? And do I think Shad could be a good governor? 100%. Based on that. And I agree politically with Shad on that. Here's my problem, and I'm going to steal your thunder. You said this. People who are that hungry for power scare you. Yeah. And I have to agree with you. If you're that hungry for power, and he's a young guy too.
Yeah, I don't think he's even 40, right?
He's a young guy, but I get it, man, because if not now, you got to wait 8 years, right?
Yeah, and he'd still be young.
Actually, it'd be 12 years because we're just at the beginning of a.
Oh, yeah.
Still got 4 more years, roughly, of Tate. Then you would have 8 years of another Republican. Because are you going to primary a Republican?
Probably not, unless they're really bad.
So it's kind of. I don't want to say now or never, but in this time frame we're living in, it's now or never. You don't know what could come.
Sure. I mean, now I could say strike while the iron's hot. I mean, you can't blame him for that. I think Ron DeSantis, you just tried to do that, right? He was coming off a really good gubernatorial campaign, and he was very successful in Florida, and he thought, okay, this is the time for me to go. It didn't work out for him, but he kind of had to take a shot,
I've said this, and I'll say it again, and this ain't a knock at Shad by no means. I like Shad for lieutenant governor. I would like to see Shad. He comes across to me more like a policy guy, the way he's very detail-oriented.
Yeah.
With his attacks on DEI and being an auditor and all that stuff. I think lieutenant governor would be a great spot for him to marinate for a few years and keeps his name at the top of the page. Then go for governor. But that's just my opinion.
We're going to have to ask the folks in the Senate how they feel about that, right?
Yeah.
But it just, that'd be interesting. Which is what that was about to make that was going to be the sound I was going to make. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, he's, but in the regard, even if he had to wait 12 years, I mean, he'd be 49 or 50. I mean, it's not like he's a million years old then either.
Hey, look, so one thing I've learned is make a few bad decisions and it'll fly by.
Exactly. I mean, he's got time, and I don't know. I'll tell you, I don't know if attacking these folks was a good idea. If you're, you know what I mean? You need, politics, you need help. Everybody knows that. That's the way politics is. You need friends and I don't know, making enemies of everybody in your own party. Because the problem that you have, Clay, and I told you this on the drive over here, was you do this, let's say, okay, so he attacks Mike Hurst and he attacks Lynn Finch, and publicly like he does in this book, and then there's going to be a Netflix movie about it. God knows what that's going to do. We're talking about Hollywood here. Other politicians that you didn't attack are kind of looking at you like, can I trust this guy? What if he's going to write something about me?
Full stop.
Yeah.
Who plays Shad in the movie?
Oh, God, I don't know. The McLovin kid.
That's
what you're going to say. I mean, that's what get in my mind.
Or do they try to make him look like a more imposing figure?
Yeah, right. It's somebody like Hugh Jackman, like in Wolverine.
What about who plays Mike Hurst? Mike's every bit of 6'4", 6'5". Yeah. You're probably 250.
I don't know. What about Lynn Finch?
Who is the Sharon Stone?
Sharon Stone. There you go. That's it. I mean, and who's going to play Jody Owen? See, Jody's in this book. Pretty prominently.
Oh, let's see here. Let me think on that.
Martin Lawrence, I don't know too like that.
No, what's the black guy from Hot Tub Time Machine?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know his name. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
We'll circle back to that. Anyway, I was just thinking about that. But yeah, it's more or less who plays Shad. Who plays Brett Favre?
Brett Favre.
He's got to play himself.
He's been in Something About Mary. He's got Hollywood experience. He was Cameron Diaz's boyfriend for all you younger people in that movie. And, he could play himself. Brett Favre is what they called him. I mean, if you remember that.
All right. So here, we talked about this on the phone this morning. Let's play it forward a little bit. Let's just say Shad wins let's just say they battle it out. Shad runs for governor.
Yeah.
Shad wins the nomination. And does Mike have to step down as head of the Republican Party? I mean, you obviously got some issues there. I mean, does Mike have to support Shad because he dang sure can't support the Democrat?
No.
You know, I mean, it puts you in a weird spot after being attacked, and then you're supposed to be trusted to work with each other.
That's a great point.
Because they're both adults. I mean, people do what they got to do. I work with people I don't like all the time. Well, not anymore, like this.
Yeah.
But I used to have to work with people I didn't like.
Well, I don't know, bro. Like, I'll tell you one thing about this, and I thought about this morning when I was up early drinking coffee, walking the dog, and I was like, if I'm Mike Hurst, or if I'm Shad, I'm happy that the dueling statutes are repealed back in the 19th century. Because if I'm Mike Hurst and I read this, I'm calling him up on the phone and be like, bro, there's a parking lot, and I'll meet you there at the flagpole and at noon. So I don't know. It'd be hard for... If it were me, I understand politics, what you have to do, and you're right. Like, you have to sometimes just get past it, but this is pretty bad. So I think that's hard.
We've seen Trump and some rivals get past it.
That's an excellent point. You know, look at Ted Cruz. He said his
Marco
dad.
Rubio.
Well, I mean, in Cruz, he said his dad was involved in the Kennedy assassination. How did he get past that? And then attacked his wife's looks. Yeah. And he did. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. That's a great point. Stranger things, but Trump is also Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a different kind of animal.
Yeah.
I don't know that if, like, let me give you this example. Like, if Ron DeSantis had said that Ted Cruz's dad was involved in the Kennedy assassination, that would have worked out quite the same way. I just don't know.
And I don't want to sit here and pretend I'm best friends with Mike Hurst. We're very polite when we see one another. He always says hey, and I like to say I love his wife Celeste. I like both of them. I met the kids, the whole 9 yards. I like the Hurst family. They've been very nice to Clay Edwards since I started doing this. I think Mike is professional enough and to put stuff aside and do his job. I have no doubt about that. He'll do if he were to stay in that position and that worked itself out to that extent, I would have no doubt that Mike would do his job. Let's do this. We got to take a break.
Yep.
It looks like we got Steve Pickett on hold. Steve, stay there. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We had a caller on hold, but they just jumped off. So call back at the top of the next hour. Caller, would like to hear your thoughts and opinions on this, but we only got about a minute here before the top of the hour break anyway. So, Sean, we got the Mississippi Swindle book. We've been covering that this hour. That's the Shad White book. He's gone scorched earth on former U.S. Attorney Mike Hurst, current head of the Republican Party. We did get a text in from an anonymous sitting politician here, elected official in Mississippi, and he had this to say. He says, my take as an elected official, Shad mentions in the book he is a Harvard-trained lawyer and that Hurst went to a small liberal arts college, same as Tate, meaning he was jealous of Hurst and saw him as a political rival in the future. He's a calculated guy and knew exactly what he was doing when he kept the case. He was hoping this would define his political career. By the way, what is the outcome of the case to have a book written about it anyway? And that's kind of the first thing I asked Sean this morning. I said, well, what was the ending of the book? Because to the best of my knowledge, this thing doesn't have an ending.
It's like the ending to The Sopranos. You just don't know. You know, like when you remember The Sopranos, the last episode when it just goes dark. That's kind of the way this book ends. You know, it just goes dark. You don't know.
Well, I believe that's what this case has just gone dark. I don't think there is going to be an ending. I think that when the mom and son went to jail, I think that was the ending.
Did they go to jail or did they get probate? I can't remember.
I thought they went to jail.
I haven't read the whole thing. I guess I'll find out once I finish the
Zach and Nancy knew.
You know, Zach and I knew who they were, but I didn't know whether they'd gone to. I didn't know if they got sentenced to prison time or anything. I couldn't remember.
And then you got the DiBiase's out there who got the bad. A lot of people got the crap end on this deal because their names got associated with it.
Like Paul Lacoste, we always talk about. That was like I don't know what Paul did that was wrong. And who's the other guy? Who's the football player? You know, I'm talking about
Marcus Dupree,
right? Yeah, there was a lot of people that got caught up in this stuff. And you know the interesting thing about it, I read a really good article in Vox a few years ago.
Hold that thought. Sure. We're going to break. We'll be right back with Shaun YURTKURAN here on the Clay Edwards Show. See you back here in 7 minutes on WYAB. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards here with my good friend and yours, Mr. Shaun YURTKURAN, attorney at law. If you need a good attorney, hit up my boy Sean. Sean, tell him your phone number.
601-906-9094. Text or call me, or you can go to onetextlaw.com. That's my website, or keep me on Facebook.
In 30 seconds or less, tell them what you did this week.
I had a capital murder case I got thrown out of court yesterday, which was really, obviously my client was pretty happy about that. So
in the preliminary hearing, right?
Yeah, it was really good.
Didn't even have to go to trial.
Nope. It was a wonderful result, so I was pretty happy about that. I did get fined $50 though because my cell phone went off in the court. That's the first time in 20 years of practicing law that's ever happened to me. But I was kind of so happy about getting my client's case dismissed.
Take
that
my $50.
Yeah, they took it down to the circuit clerk's office, and I know everybody at the courthouse. And so Zach Wallace is a friend of mine. He's a circuit clerk, and he's like, Turk, what they didn't even know how to collect my fine money because nobody really, it doesn't always happen that often. But I was like, look, I'll go. Let me go get you $50. I don't care. So my client got to go home today, so it was worth it.
Absolutely. Well, look, this segment's brought to you by our friend Boykin Contractors. Hold on, let me say this real quick. The man has technically undefeated in 2 murder trials, or whatever you want to call it, in back-to-back weeks. One was a mistrial, and one was thrown out, and will not be a trial.
Yep.
So that's 2 in 2 weeks. If he's keeping people free from murder, let him take care of your lesser offenses.
Oh, I'll tell you what was really cool about that too. So it was a lot of people in the courtroom when this happened, and there's TV cameras and all that stuff. And so after this happened, and I got back to the office, and several people had got my phone number and called me, and they're like, "Man, can you do that for my kid?" I was like, "I don't know, dude. Maybe, but I hope so." I just
word travels fast in the convicted murderer,
or not
convicted, in the accused murderer circles.
It travels really quick. It was really funny. I got like 2 back-to-back phone calls.
Like how long before you start getting phone calls from some of my FAFO champions?
I know, right? They're gonna be like, "Oh, wait, dude! Like, God,
I've got a belt for you.
Got a belt for you."
All right,
Lord.
This segment brought to you by Boykin Contractors, right there in Florence, Mississippi. Look, they can do construction, roofing, remodeling, additions, repair, and they do it all over the metro area. Lots of satisfied and repeat customers, licensed, bonded, and insured with the Mississippi Board of Contractors, so they mean business. Also, Mr. Bryce Boykin, he's a Christian, and he operates his business with honesty and integrity, as a Christian should. So if he tells you it's going to be done, it's going to be done. It's going to be done right. And he's going to get out there and knock it out for you. Contact Bryce today, 601-951-7336. And I know you can't remember that phone number, but Google Boykin Contractors, Florence, Mississippi, or Facebook, and boom, all the information will pop up right there. You can read the reviews, see some photos of the work they've done. It's not too late to get that deck for the fall. Who really wants a deck in the summer? It's too hot for a deck in the summer anyway. What you want is a deck or a patio or a covered patio in the fall, so you can sit out there on the back porch and watch that football.
I just had that conversation last night how bad I wanted a deck. I had a client come in the other day. You'll laugh at this.
Speaking of decks.
Yeah, you got to have it covered. And a deck is really, it's so funny. You ever, if you're selling a house, like the women go look at the bathroom or kitchen, guys go right out to the backyard to see what's the setup. That's like every guy I know, including myself, does that. And I had a client come in, and they were looking at a pay the other day, and they were like, "Oh, well, we do deck work." I'm like, "You do deck work? I'll take that in trade."
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the one thing my house is lacking. Like I got my grill out in my garage. I just pull it out in the driveway because I've got a huge yard, front and back, huge. And then in my backyard, part of my backyard's got a fence around it for the dogs, which is still big. But I just got like a little slab of concrete, no lean-to, no cover, no nothing. So maybe it's time to consider at least a lean-to, so I can enjoy the back porch some when it's not 8,000 degrees.
It's not like it's going to be today. I think it's supposed to be 101 today. Maybe break the record. It's 102. I think is a record.
On the Guns and Gear text line, Blake says you have an unhealthy obsession with decks. Well, it's not the deck I have the unhealthy obsession with. It's the shenanigans that take place on the decks that I have an unhealthy obsession with.
Yeah.
Cold beer, football, good times, friends.
Oh, it's great.
It's the memories you make out on the deck that I have the obsession with, not the deck, so to say.
Lindsey Beckham says that women look at the closet. That's true. I've never looked at a closet when I've gone to buy a house. Have you ever done that?
I have, but I mean, like, especially if you're looking at older houses. I mean, I know I'm gonna need a little closet space, and especially if you're gonna be living with a female and stuff like that. That's gonna turn into a situation.
You ain't kidding.
My previous girlfriend used my 2 guest room closets and half of my closet for her stuff, and she didn't technically even live with me.
Yeah, my ex did the same. My spare bedroom was a closet. Yeah, same thing.
So which I don't mind. I mean, at least somebody was using them for something. But yeah, so I definitely understand women looking at closets.
Now I have the drum set and the sauna in there.
Yeah,
that's a spare room. That's the but yeah, the you've been to my house, and old houses have horrible closet space, and I don't know how these people
have tiny bathrooms too. We used to be a smaller society.
We were way smaller. I mean, I don't know how anybody so you've been in my house. So the people that were living there in the 1950s, I researched everybody that's lived there until the 1930s, and this guy lived with him, his wife, and his 3 daughters in my house. And I'm like, where did everybody go? Where did everybody sit in this? It's only 1,700 square feet, and there's no closet space, barely. So I guess they just didn't have that much clothes, that much stuff,
I mean, imagine a family of 4 or 5 living in an apartment in New York City in the 1950s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just people used to live more communally.
They did. They made do with a lot less.
What's up? Sean, let's talk about ass whoopings.
Yeah. Oh, I love that subject.
Let's talk about ass whoopings and dueling, and then we're gonna tie this back into the Shad White and Mike Hurst battle. Sean, you did a little research over there on dueling. You kind of made a joke about dueling, and let's say this first: the way people will call into this show, the way people will talk to us online. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that everybody that's a smart ass can't fight, because we know that not to be true.
Sure.
But most people who can fight aren't out acting like they can fight on the internet and be rude to people, because they understand the propensity for violence and what can come from it.
Sure.
And just, especially as you get a little older. Now, if you're young, full of testosterone, whatever, different story, been there, done that. But as you get older, and you are training, or you go to jiu-jitsu or boxing or whatever, you understand real quick that never underestimate your opponent.
No, 100%. Yeah, I think, we were talking about that at the break, and I think we've talked about this several times. People feel comfortable to be mean to each other online, or if they want to call into a radio or wherever.
Or in a book.
Yeah, or in a book, because they're not scared of getting their ass whipped, and I think we need to bring ass whippings back, because I've done that so I'm always trying to be cordial to people in my Facebook page when we disagree about politics, but sometimes, occasionally, somebody will be mean, and I just post my address. I'm like, you're welcome to come over to my house, and we can discuss this in the yard. And I think, then it stops. The conversation stops, and they never accept my invite. And I think that's because people, if you say that there's a threat of physical violence, then they'd be like, okay, I need to stop now. And we just need to I think we need to bring it back. We need to bring it back, because it would make us more kind to each other.
Well, yeah, I should be able to, or you should be able to punch me in the face, without having to catch a charge. We just need to eliminate simple assault.
Right.
And just say, okay, was it aggravated? No, you just caught a butt whooping. Well, maybe you'll think about what you say next time before you say it.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's why we need to bring dueling back, because back then, if you said something really bad about somebody that, people that were they're worried about their reputations and that in the community then, and you say, okay, well, I'm challenging you to a duel. I mean, that's like Alexander Hamilton is dead, because the whole Aaron Burr thing, everybody knows, most people know that story. I think we need to bring it back. And Fred Shanks, you're listening, I know it. So can you put this bill in the legislature? Because right now it's 9739-1 that prohibits this, if engaging in a duel or challenging someone.
It's illegal to even challenge somebody to a duel now?
That's what the statute that I'm reading here says. It says that it's every person who shall challenge another to fight a duel, or who shall send, deliver, or cause to be delivered any written or verbal message purporting or intended to be such a challenge. So it's punishable by $300 up to 6 months in the county jail. So you can't even challenge someone to a duel. So Mike Hurst could not challenge Shad to a duel, even though he might want to right now. I mean, it's illegal.
No, we're saying duel as in it's got to be gun on gun.
Yes, it's duel with deadly weapons.
What about a fight?
I don't know. Can you challenge someone to a physical fight? I mean, because if they accept the challenge, it's not like a simple assault.
Okay, let's just say either one. If Mike challenged Shad to a duel or a fight, who would you put your money on?
Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
I think the can of whip ass would probably be on there pretty good. I wish we could do that on the Capitol grounds too.
There should be a room in the Capitol for pay-per-view fights.
Pay-per-view
political fights. You got to pay $10.99 to opt in, or $59.99. I'm tired of debates. I want to see these folks start fighting.
Clay, this used to happen in Congress forever. I'm sure you read about it, heard about it. They used to have, I think Andy Jackson actually pulled a knife on someone in the Oval Office, if I remember that story correctly. I mean, that's what we need back in society, because people will be nicer to each other if you think you're going to get a knife to the throat. And but we become so like we become meaner because we know that the laws prohibit us from actually fighting somebody. So yeah, but I think like, can you imagine? We should actually. What do you think? Which politicians would have fought this year? Right? We know Mike Hurst and Shad,
Brandon and Tate.
Brandon and Tate would have gone
at that debate. Keep my mama's name out keep my family's name out your mouth. That debate, you was about to see an angry.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
I can't say it. I saw some tendencies about Brandon Presley that confirmed some rumors for me. I was just going to say that.
Do you think like Tate would have picked up the podium, just smashed him over the head? And then how much would we all love that? Like, I think he would have gained voters. Like, do you see Tate Reeves hit Brandon Presley over the head with the podium? Like, he would have like gotten so many more voters. Like, yeah, man, I really like this guy now. He's got personality.
He'll fight for me.
He'll fight for me. He'll do anything. I mean, I could have seen Jim Hood whipping somebody's ass. Like, I remember him working for him. Like, that could have.
Yeah, Jim's scrappy. He comes across like a fighter.
He's a little scrappy. He would have fought some people. I mean,
you got to kind of be scrappy to be a white Democrat in Mississippi. I mean, if you're going to play that game here in Mississippi, I mean, you're always the underdog. You got to be scrappy.
You got to have a little fight. You got to have a little dog in you there. I mean, to be able to do it. Yeah, I mean,
I'm always drawn towards guys that got some dog in them, man. I talked about that about the VP pick for Trump. I wanted somebody that has some dog in them.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think Vance has got some dog in him, but I still would have preferred Vivek.
Vivek's got some dog in him.
He got some pit bull.
That dude's got some dog in him.
I mean, this is a compliment. He's got some inbred pit bull in him.
Yeah, he's feisty. But I just, I'm just now Delbert would have probably gotten into a fight, but I think he might have got hurt. He looks a little frail at his age. But
Jason says Tate should have whooped Brandon, then pardoned himself.
He could have whipped Brandon. I mean, I could see though, like, yeah, I mean, because Delbert, made a lot of people mad. Delbert and Chris would have definitely, McDaniel would have gotten into a fight last year. That'd have been funny. I could have seen that. I mean, that got pretty heated about who was the most transgender and who was the most anti-war. It was like that whole thing. Yeah, I could have seen that. Oh, and Michael Guest and Cassidy would have gotten into a fight. I thought that thing got pretty contentious too.
That thing got very contentious.
That could have been. See, let's bring this back. It'd be entertaining for the public. It would make people reinvest in politics because they don't want to watch it more because you never know if someone gets their ass whipped. And then it would also make people stop being so mean to each other.
Chris Hinkle texted in a link from AL.com, says ex-Mississippi congressman accused of fighting youth soccer coach seeks resolution. Now, I do have a problem with folks trying to fight the coaches. I know Fred actually had a bill that didn't work out, but I think it was going to be a felony offense to assault a youth coach
it's a real problem
or umpire or something like that.
Yeah,
and that's a real problem, especially in girls softball.
In girls softball?
Yeah, girls softball. Softball dad.
I didn't know this.
Don't play games.
They get that mad.
Softball dads and pageant dads. I tell you what, I came real close to whooping a couple of judges in the beauty pageants, taking them on out back. Most of them, I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to say something here, and I'm going to offend some people. But that's kind of what I'm breaking rules. Breaking rules when necessary. I think if you're a grown man, you probably should be on a list if you judge beauty pageants.
Yeah.
You should be on a watch list.
It's kind of weird. I mean, I could see that, Yeah, that's strange. It's a little strange, but I'm with you. I don't think that you should be able to beat up coaches or judges because they're trying to do their job.
Trying to do their job. I get it.
Now, Mike Hurst whipping Chad, that's a little different, right? I mean, because he kind of called him a little, in the book. So
which would it be?
Yeah, I mean, so I could see that kind of thing, or another example like Tate and Brandon Presley. That's another example where that could have happened. So there's several.
Clay Edwards and Chokwe Lumumba.
Clay and Brad Franklin. That would be a great fight. We could sell tickets to that one. Think about that, Bo, Trevor, if you're listening, you could do that for your human trafficking thing, right? We could raise money, and then, Clay versus Brad.
No.
The middle-aged battle royale.
Let me just tell you something. If I fight on pay-per-view, I ain't donating a penny to charity. This is for Clay Edwards charity. I ain't running the chance of getting knocked out. Somebody getting the lucky shot, me falling, whatever, me running out of air, whatever the case may be. I'm not doing that for free. I'm a prize fighter, and the prize goes in my pocket.
We could extend this to like Chokwe and Jody too. Like think about it, I don't leave them out.
Who's going to snitch first?
Yeah, it's like
Angelique Lee could be the special referee.
Right. It's like
I'm gonna snitch first.
It's like who's going to go to jail Hunger Games, and whoever survives doesn't go to jail. Like that would be the way you would do that.
Let's take a break. Come back. I want to get into the squad being eliminated from Congress. This is getting good. Is AOC next? Is Talib Rashid or whatever her name next? We'll figure it out. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Sean. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by Martin's downtown Jackson, Martin's at Livingston, and the all-new Martin's Market. That's right. They got a gas station, a full-service gas station right there at the town of Livingston next to the Martin's Livingston. They'll pump your gas for you, and it's more than just your regular little stop-and-go type gas station, man. They got all type of groceries and supplies available out there because they know there's not a grocery store very close to them. So they got a lot of the stuff you may need. Save yourself a trip to the city. Stop by Martin's Market today. And, hey, while you're there, go on and roll up into Martin's and grab yourself one of their phenomenal blue plates. You can always get the country fried steak. As y'all know, I have an obsession with them, even though I've been eating the grilled chicken strips lately. But neither here nor there. Sean, what's your favorite item on the Martin's menu? What's your go-to?
It's always the bone-in chicken wings, man. That's my thing. I love that stuff. But I also like the grilled chicken tenders.
The grilled chicken. You know, a lot of places overcook their chicken tenders. Anytime there's white meat chicken, they overcook them. Yep. A lot of places do. I don't know how Martin's gets it right. They may actually use a thermometer.
They do really well with keeping it juicy. Yep.
They're juicy. And it is hard to get juicy chicken strips.
It's tough.
I've actually been on a good run here lately, eating at some places that actually had good chicken strips. Mm-hmm. But for a while there, it can be touch and go.
That's really true. Because you hate when you get them, they're like really hard, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to get fried because it's safer.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Well, look, y'all check out Martin's, whether you're in downtown Jackson or up in Madison County at Livingston. Again, don't forget to check out Martin's Market right there next to the Livingston location. Go eat lunch today, and, of course, they got live entertainment several nights a week. Follow them on Facebook. They got two different Facebook pages, Martin's at Livingston and then Martin's Downtown JXN. Easy to find. Keep up with everything that's going on at Martin's. And, of course, don't forget the downtown Jackson location, the iconic location. Always got some great big-time live music coming through, concerts and all that stuff. So keep up to date with what's going on there on the website or go to martinsdowntownjxn.com. All right, Sean, let's shift gears. Let's read a few texts because the text machine has been fired up. Reagankin says, Sean, quit while you're ahead, no fighting. He said, I want to see someone DDT Barack. Yes. It says, Rick. Who is Rick Alderete? Mm-hmm. Rick Alderete tore down a statue of Jackie Robinson and got 15 years. That is 15 years more than any other rioter got for tearing down statues of Confederates. What is wrong with the picture? Both should have gotten jail time. Yeah, it seems a little off topic. Mm-hmm. But let's see here. Anonymous on Guns and Gear says, there were several people involved in the Mississippi Swindle who got away with it, unfortunately. I cannot tell you how, but I know this personally. I also think it is a shame that the new Summit School in Jackson closed because it provided many benefits to the children in the area. I have heard that from everybody involved, that the loss of the school was the biggest loss in this whole thing.
I've heard that too, actually.
It says, and the mother and son were very, very guilty and involved, not scapegoats at all. What's funny is the news media kept talking about Nancy's house. Did they even realize the son lived in Bridgewater? I remember his house being a point of contention, too.
I remember that, too, as well.
It says, I don't remember ever seeing anything. I do. I definitely remember his house being a point of contention in the media. Maybe it wasn't on the news. Maybe it was on Kingfish's site. I can't remember. But I definitely remember his home being a big, big point of contention.
Sure.
Let's see here. Spartacus says Trump judged his Miss Universe pageant. Now, again, a Miss Universe pageant and a Miss America pageant are not a child.
Yeah,
maybe I should clarify that. If you're a grown man judging children's beauty pageants, you should be put on a list. Let me clarify.
I knew what you meant when you said it. I know you were talking about. Yeah,
I've judged many a booty shaking, wet T-shirt, and bikini contest in bars, and I don't believe I belong on any kind of list.
I don't believe that. Yes, I believe that totally.
I don't know how this happened. I was a special guest judge for a twerking contest at Club O'Hara down in Hazelhurst, Mississippi one time. I was the only white person in there.
A twerking contest?
Yes.
I mean, so you got on like...
I told y'all I lived a different life till about 12, 13 years ago.
I'm just saying, but somehow you got on the list for like when we're thinking about twerking and we need a white guy, you were the guy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were in bikinis too.
Ah, nice.
This is before all the BBLs too. So like actually natural looking women.
I gotcha.
Let's see here. William and Brandon says Ilhan Omar's primary is next month. That little terrorist needs to go too. 100%. All right, let's stop it right there. We'll read some more text here in a minute because I want to pig leg. Joe, how would you say you want to expand on that?
I can't. Now I'm forgetting. Peg leg, whatever.
Anyway.
Challenge someone to a duel. I remember that.
Pigtail on that. Anyway, that's what we're going to use that. We're going to dovetail. That's the word I was looking for. We're going to dovetail from that to these anti-Israel people are being taken out one by one by APAC.
Yeah, the Jewish folks are mad. They are mad. They took out that guy in New York.
New York.
Yep.
The one that pulled the fire alarm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was his name? Bowman. Yeah.
Jamal Bowman.
Took him out.
And then I didn't see Cori Bush. She ain't gonna be able to afford her security anymore.
Nope. I mean, has anybody ever watched the movie Munich? Have you ever seen that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's about the Israeli athletes in the 1972 Olympics in Munich were killed by terrorists. Okay, you know the story. And Mossad went on a mission to hunt them all down and kill them all, which they did. And it was
terrorists.
Yes, afterwards it was Golda Meir, who was the prime minister of Israel at that time, sanctioned this, and they hunted them down one by one and murdered them all, right, or most of them at least. And so my point is, the Jewish fucking some people make mad at you because this reminds me of that in a political sense. It's like we're taking down all of you guys.
I mean, I can't wait to see what they do at AOC. She's the main one for me.
She's next, I bet, on the list.
Yep.
I mean, she's I mean, Cori, I tell you what, it's so funny because, of all people, my good friend Will, who's very liberal. I mean, he texted me last night. He's like, thank God they got rid of that. I mean, she's a point of contention on the left, too, that we don't.
Well, they're embarrassing.
Yeah, they're very embarrassing. Very embarrassing.
Pimp C and UGK had a saying, take that monkey stuff off, you embarrassing us.
Mm-hmm.
They're just talking about the way people dress and act and this, that, and the other. And that's how I feel about the progressive left. Like, just at least for y'all.
Yeah, Omar and Bush
stop this stuff. You're embarrassing us. It's kind of how I feel. I know people are going to get mad at me about this. It's kind of how I feel about MJT and Lauren Boebert on our side. I like that they vote the way they are. They do, and I appreciate they're on my team. But I'm kind of tired of all the theatrics.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm in entertainment. I can be theatrical if that's what you want to call this. Don't be theatrical down there. Can we just get back to doing our jobs?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Why can't we just do your job and shut up and stop? I mean, remember when they were all wearing weren't they wearing white or something when Trump was giving a State of the Union speech or something and dancing and I don't know. It's just stuff like that. It's like we don't need this in Congress. We just don't need. I'm talking about AOC and Bush.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's on the same thing. They're all making it. This should be a serious endeavor, not a joke. And I think all these folks make it a joke.
This is really going to upset some people, but it really makes you second guess. Some of the women we send up there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's been some. I guess they're trying to say this in the least sexist way, right? But
but it's the women and feminine men that keep acting like this.
I mean, there's been a lot of the women on both sides that have acted that are the ones you think of, right? When you talk about that, I don't know why that is. I mean, I have no idea why that is, but I didn't think of it. I never thought about it that way until you said,
And like this other chick, I can't remember her name. The chick that's running for Secretary of State, Missouri. This makes all the funny videos about don't be gay, stay hard.
Oh yeah, the good-looking girl that's like lifting weights and looks like she's doing CrossFit or something.
But that's clown show stuff.
Yeah, it's a little clown show. Yeah.
I mean, it gets attention. It's gone viral. I don't know. I mean, I think they have a Republican Secretary of State in Missouri. I think I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they do,
but it feels like they should anyway. I don't know. Anyway, just side note, it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But Cori Bush is out. APAC got her. Yeah. The same one's got Bowman. Looks like Ilhan Omar is next.
Good riddance.
And then hopefully AOC. So this brings me to this question. Let's talk about Tom Waltz.
Okay.
Given the fact that the Jewish part, the Jewish side of the party, however you want to say this, the Jewish supporters, whatever, are going after and successfully knocking off these progressive Democrats in their primaries and whatnot. Do you think it was a good idea for her to pick a very progressive, anti-Semitic
I don't know what his stance on. I haven't got to that. I was obviously with this book yesterday, so I haven't got to what his stance on. I know some of his stances. I did read that, but I don't know about Israel.
He supports the open border. He's
what does he do? What about Israel, Gaza? What's his? Have you read about that yet?
He's all pro-Palestine.
He's pro-Palestine.
Yep.
Well, I think,
and being in Minnesota, they have a big contingency. Of Muslims.
They
there.
do.
So
in Minneapolis, at least.
So they have made the decision. It feels like to me the Democrat Party has made the decision that we're going to hitch our wagons to this progressive horse all the way across the finish line, win or lose.
I think there's a concern about the votes in Michigan, which would make a difference, the Muslim population in Detroit, that they're very concerned about. All the reading I'm doing, and this may have been an olive branch to them. That's very possible.
Because Minnesota was never in play. That's a Democrat state.
Yeah, it's only voted once for a Republican in the last 70 years. That was for Richard Nixon in 1972, I think.
Yeah, that's what I saw yesterday too.
That's the only time. It's so it's so funny. Think about this, Clay. But
a Democrat has not won the presidency without winning Pennsylvania in a long, long time.
Yeah, I don't know when that.
Since the 30s or 40s, I think is what I saw. Mm-hmm. So it felt like Shapiro could have got you across the line there.
Okay, here's my take on that. So I read John Fetterman, who you even admitted you kind of like too, the way he's been over the last year.
Yeah. Well, he's been rational.
Fetterman called Harris up and advocated not to pick Shapiro. They had some sort of in-state rivalry going on. He's a Pennsylvania governor. Fetterman's the senator from Pennsylvania.
He was the lieutenant governor, too.
It was lieutenant governor at one point. And then when Shapiro was attorney general, some issues over the parole board they were having, it's kind of reminded me of immediately what we're talking about here, Mike Hurst and Shad White. We know how these in-state intra-party rivalries work. So I assume they had something that went on between the two of them. And he did not like Shapiro. He thought Shapiro was kind of like the Shad White of Pennsylvania. That's the way I read it. That was kind of his advice to Harris, saying that he's just an overly ambitious. He's going to try to overshadow you, that kind of things like that. So that was that I think played something into it. I think what they're banking with Waltz. Now Waltz has got some very progressive positions, obviously, that I've read through some of them, and I'll probably know more about this by Friday. But I think they're banking that he's going to be able to connect to Midwest voters. Whether that's successful or not, we'll see. But I think that's kind of what they're banking on, because he does. In the social media age, what I've just seen clips of him. I don't know what he said yet and what this is, but he does portray very well on TV and in social media. So he's doing that. We'll see what that works. Apparently his positions have been pretty far left, and he's going to get hit for that. I don't know how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I was on there yesterday when this broke, and I was texting with you, and you were like, I think it's a good pick, and you mentioned about him being a football coach.
Yeah.
I'm like, but then I started playing clips of him on the show, and I was like, this ain't gonna play well at the dinner table in the Midwest.
Yeah, there's some of his positions are, a bunch of people sent them to me last night that were, further left than I thought he would have had, considering his background, which is high school. He was a public school teacher and high school football coach for 20 years before he ever got into politics. He didn't get into politics until he was like in his mid-40s. And so he had that kind of background. You just don't think of high school football coaches as very progressive, I guess.
Did you know that during COVID he set up a phone line for you to call and snitch out your neighbors to the cops? An anonymous phone line? Yeah.
No.
Was that the kind of guy you want being VP?
I think
that sounds like some stuff the Nazis would do.
That's a little ridiculous. I'm sure you guys are going to find every little thing, and it's going to come out just like the left's doing with J.D. Vance. It's the same thing. It's
just weird, man.
It's just weird. But look, that's a good example. That went viral, though. What he did, that weird thing that he started that. I think that's one of the things that got him the job.
I think it's one of the things too. They're going to blow up in his face,
and it might do that, and we're going to see that. But I'm just saying, I really think that in the social media age, that clip secured him that job, but we'll see, or at least the nomination.
Guns and Gear text line 769-241-1944. Mazda Jackson phone line 601-879-0002. We'll be right back with Shaun YURTKURAN here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. Guys, before you know it, it will be Stonington Farm grass-fed beef time again up here in central Mississippi. They'll be delivering here in the next couple of weeks. Of course, you can always order online and get it shipped up, but if you want to save the money on shipping and whatnot, they do deliver here to the Tri-County area once a month. You'll have to get in touch with them to see what the next date is. You can do that at StoningtonFarm.com. That's Stonington with 2 N's, farm.com. 100% grass-fed, 100% grass-finished. mRNA-free, antibiotic-free, and, unlike me, steroid-free. Mississippi-raised, grass-fed beef. That's legal steroids, by the way. Legal. It's not even technically steroids. It's testosterone replacement therapy. Anyway, I kid. Try some of the grass-fed beef. You won't regret it, man. I've been living off of it. It's phenomenal. The hamburger meat especially, the steaks. You pick it. They got it. Try some of the bone broth if you like to use bone broth for anything. StoningtonFarm.com. Hey, don't forget they have summer sausage too, by the way. It is awesome.
That is so good. Yeah.
It is. I'd never had like beef summer sausage. I like pork, but man, they gave me a little sample. I was like, gosh dang it. Now I'm going to be stuck having to buy this. It's that dang good. So StoningtonFarm.com. Let's, Sean, we got a text. Somebody wanted to bring something up if we had time.
Yeah, sure. It was about going back to Mississippi Swindle, or No Vaseline, as I call the book, as the diss track. So Shad is, going after Lynn Finch, the book, the Attorney General of Mississippi, Lynn Finch. And she had to pull out of 2 of the defamation cases dealing with Brett Favre that Favre has filed against him, and the Ole Miss professor that he had a conflict with. And I can't remember what the Ole Miss thing was about. I just remember it.
DEI.
Is that what it is? I don't recall.
I'm pretty sure it was DEI. I could be wrong, but
so
right.
So now she pulled out, and I think he had to hire some sort of private lawyers. I'm sure the state's paying for that or whatever. And I think the reason she pulled out of that was because of his comments in this book, which is the ones that I'd seen before. I could see why, because if I was her, she's the second one to challenge Chad to a duel based upon his comments on her. Talking about how she's essentially basically saying she's lazy and won't do her job, and that's kind of the general theme of what he writes about her. And she also said that he felt like she was like in political gamemanship to be close to Brett Favre, that she was trying to line up with him and to further her own political career.
I want to say this about Lynn. This is just me personally. You understand law and legal and that the court side of things way more than I do, obviously. So I kind of lean into you on that stuff.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, she's got some people around her that I like a lot.
Yeah, there's some great people over there.
Sure. She got some people around her I like a lot, and I don't know her personally, don't know anything about her, but whatever shortcomings she may have, things she should or shouldn't have done, she brought a lot of grace with me with the Anthony Fox stuff.
Yeah.
And I can't, that's been a big, big pillar of what the show's been built on the last few years. So I can't overlook that.
Mm-hmm. No, that was a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Because that took some bravery too to stand up against the DA in a state. I don't know. My personal opinion there, I'm good with Lynn. I've met her one time, but again, I don't necessarily understand. I have had a lot of people in the legal world tell me there's a lot of things she should have done that she hadn't done. Mm-hmm. There's some, maybe some staffing issues that have caused some big convictions.
I'll give you the biggest criticism that I've heard, and I like Lynn Finch, and I think I know a lot of people that work at the office, really good people. I think they do a good job. So this is the only thing that I've heard, because I'm pretty involved in the DA community still. I'm basically a life member forever.
Yeah.
Jim Hood used to, when a district attorney would have what's called a conflict case, whether somebody in their office represented them or maybe there was a political conflict of some sort, whatever it was, you could refer that case to the Attorney General's office, to the what's called PID, Public Integrity Division, and they would handle that. Back in those days, it was Stanley Alexander and Marvin Sanders that generally would do that. Lynn, and that was great for all the DAs in the state, because they would just send all those cases straight to the AG's office. It relieved them a lot of political burdens and those sorts of things. Well, Lynn changed that practice to you have to find a neighboring DA to take that case, which is caused the logistical nightmares, what the DAs tell me, and that's the biggest criticism I've heard, where they're very angry about that.
So that'd basically be like Hines and Rankin having to swap cases.
Yeah, I was down trying that case in
Madison,
in another county, and I saw a Hines County assistant DA in this other county I was in. I don't want to say which county it is, but and I was like, hey man, what's up? And he's like, man, AG's office doesn't take the cases anymore, so now we agreed to take this county cases from this county, and they agreed to take our conflict cases, and so it's created kind of a logistical problem for the DA's office that they're very upset about. So I think that's a practice that she could fix and go back to the old system, which I think would make everybody pretty happy.
That makes sense. And again, that's kind of stuff that just John Q. Citizen wouldn't understand.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's not something that people would know that has created a very bad logistical problem for the DAs, where they're sending their staff, their assistant DAs, to other counties to prosecute their cases, and those other counties are sending them over here. Like you'll see probably assistants from Rankin County coming over to Hines County to try something, and or Madison, and so that's created a big problem for all of them, and they're not very happy about it. And I think that's something you could easily fix. I don't know why they haven't done that. But that's the only criticism that I've really heard.
All right, let's shift gears, read a few texts here, kind of close out the show for the day. Wild Bill on the Guns and Gear text line says, as you know, Clay, I was a DeSantis supporter and vote for the person that best represents me and my beliefs. I will be voting for Trump Vance now. I feel this ticket is far better than a super socialist ticket like Harris Waltz. This election is crucial and will decide the future of our country. A Harris Waltz win will put the final nail in our coffin. My question is, who is SHAUN supporting? Well, previously, SHAUN said it was because of the way they came to their, the way they landed on Harris.
Well, actually, what I said was I was going to vote for Trump when when they refused to take Biden off the ticket, which was really made me mad because unelected bureaucrats are running the government, which I was going to get. Now I'm back into the RFK camp. So now that they at least rectified that, my protest vote is now RFK.
Gotcha.
That's where I am today. So we'll see, man. I mean, do you know what? What does it matter what I vote for? The state's going to Trump anyway. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean,
unknown texture here says, you say you're tired of theatrics, but you want 4 more years of Trump. Are you okay with him going on a vendetta campaign? 100%. 100%. There will be blood and there should be blood. Yes, I'm okay with Trump going on a vendetta campaign. I have waffled back and forth on that a little bit, but I just think that we've got to balance this thing back out. We've got to pull it back to the middle. They're just going to go after Trump for 4 years while he's the president. He might as well go after them too. And if nothing gets done, then nothing gets done. At least nothing bad will happen. At least we will quit going further left, because that's what we're doing right now. At least the border will get closed. At least we will start drilling here. I mean, I can just think of 3 or 4 things that Trump can do day one, and if he don't do nothing else for the next 4 years except lock up his political enemies and operate it like a dictator, suits Clay just fine.
Well, I guess we're going to see. I mean, this is the kind of race where I'm telling you what, if you ask me 3 weeks ago, was Trump going to win? I'm like, oh yeah, overwhelmingly. If you ask me today, I don't know that, right? I think it's just a crazy. And 2 weeks from now, it could be. I don't know. It's just the craziest time ever.
And they're still going after Trump.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Let's not forget that they're still going after Trump. He's still. I'm betting now that they put him in jail in New York.
The New York Senate scene.
Yeah, I think they put him in jail.
100%. I don't think so, but I hope not. I mean, if they do, but yeah. But I think that, Clay.
And I think they're going to spend the next 4 years, if they win, going after Trump some more.
This is an interesting way to look at it, too. I think, that was more likely when Biden was on the ticket, right? Now I feel like the Democrats feel like they got the wind at their back. Things have gone pretty well in their direction right now at this point. Now, 2 weeks from now, I think we know things can change. But right now, I feel they feel pretty confident. So we'll see what happens.
The eternal optimist over there, my friend.
I'm not being. Look, I think
the Democrats have jumped the shark and they've turned very, very evil, and they're showing that on a daily. We got to take a break. We'll break back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. As we got a few minutes left here, about a minute left here before we got to sign off for the day. SHAUN, good show today. It'll be interesting to see how the dust begins to settle in the fallout from the Shad White book, with all the people called out, and the civil war within the Mississippi Republican Party, or at least Shad's war against the Mississippi Republican Party. And we'll be at Grip and Grin today, or I will be anyway. If you want a FAFO or vote felon shirt, swing by. I should be there from 11 to 1. I ain't promised I'm going to stay the whole time, but right around that time, I got them with me. $20, shirts, caps, flags, and tank tops. So swing by, see me. SHAUN, I'll see you Friday.
Yep.
Or I'll see you on the radio Friday anyway. And what else? Get out, support all these great sponsors, and stay tuned all day. Coming up next, you got the Mike Madison Show, followed by Jameson Haygood. Then you got our national stuff midday, and Kim Wade, Radio Strongman, will close it out live here on WYAB from 4 to 6 p.m. this evening. Again, I'll see y'all tomorrow. ClayEdwardsShow.com.